I never thought I'd be the kind of person to post something like this, but here goes nothing. I guess I just need to get this off my chest and maybe get some advice. Sorry in advance for the long post. So a little background. I'm 28F and I've been married to my husband, 30M, for 5 years. We have 2 kids together, a 4-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl. On paper, our life looks pretty perfect. Nice house in the suburbs, good jobs, cute kids. But for the past year or so, I've had this nagging feeling that something wasn't quite right. At first, I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was just being paranoid, or that it was normal to feel a little bored and restless after being married for a few years. But the feeling just kept getting stronger. My husband was working later and later, always on his phone, being really secretive. Classic signs, I know, but I didn't want to believe it. Then about 3 months ago, I finally got the proof I didn't want. I was doing laundry and found a receipt in his pocket for a hotel downtown. We live in the suburbs, so there's no reason for him to be staying at a hotel in the city. That's when I knew for sure. He was cheating on me. I was devastated, angry, heartbroken. I wanted to confront him right away, but I knew I needed more evidence first. So I started digging. I went through his phone while he was sleeping, checked the phone records, even put a tracker on his car. Not proud of that one, but I was desperate. And yep, my suspicions were confirmed. He'd been having an affair with his coworker for months, texting her constantly, meeting up at hotels, the works. I felt like such an idiot for not seeing it sooner. I spent days crying, barely able to function. How could he do this to me? To our family? I thought about leaving him, taking the kids, and just starting over. But the thought of blowing up our whole life terrified me. Plus, I still loved him, as messed up as that sounds. So I came up with a plan. A way to get revenge and make him suffer like I was suffering. Looking back now, I know it was crazy and probably not the healthiest way to deal with things. But in that moment, it felt like the only way to take back some control. Here's what I decided to do. I was going to pretend I didn't know about the affair. Act completely normal. But secretly, I would start having an affair of my own. Make him experience the pain and betrayal he was putting me through. An eye for an eye. I know. Terrible idea. But I was hurting so bad and not thinking clearly. So I put my plan into action. June 15th, I created a dating profile on one of those affair websites, used a fake name and pictures that didn't show my face clearly. Within a day, I had dozens of messages from married men looking to cheat. It was honestly depressing how easy it was. I started chatting with a few of them, looking for someone who seemed relatively normal and not too creepy. Eventually, I connected with a guy named Mike. He was 35, also married with kids. Said he and his wife had grown apart, and he was looking for some excitement. We talked for a few days and decided to meet up for coffee. I was so nervous meeting him. I'd never done anything like this before. But Mike turned out to be nice, funny, attractive. We had a good conversation and there was definitely a spark there. At the end, he asked if I wanted to get a hotel room. I panicked and said I had to go, but we made plans to meet again the following week. June 22nd, second date with Mike. This time I went through with it and we got a room. I was shaking the whole time, feeling guilty and excited and terrified all at once. But once we started kissing, those feelings melted away and I just got lost in the moment. It felt so good to be desired again, to feel that passion I'd been missing. Afterwards, I cried in my car for an hour. What was I doing? How had my life come to this? But at the same time, I felt this twisted sense of satisfaction. Now my husband and I were even. July 4th. It's been about 2 weeks since I started my affair with Mike. We've been meeting up 1 to 2 times a week. The guilt is still there, but it's getting easier to push aside. I almost want my husband to find out, to see the hurt in his eyes when he realizes what I've done. But so far, he remains oblivious. Still seeing his coworker regularly, as far as I can tell. I've thought about telling her husband, but I'm not sure if I should get involved. Part of me wants to blow up their little fantasy world. But another part of me is afraid of what will happen when everything comes out in the open. July 18th. Things with Mike are getting more intense. We're texting constantly, stealing moments together whenever we can. I know I'm playing with fire, but I can't seem to stop myself. The affair is like a drug. I know it's bad for me, but I'm addicted to how it makes me feel. My husband is starting to get suspicious, I think. He's been asking more questions about where I'm going and who I'm talking to. I've gotten better at lying, which makes me feel awful. This whole situation is such a mess. I keep waiting for him to confess about his own affair, but so far nothing. How can he keep living this double life? How can I? Sometimes I want to just blurt out everything and end all the secrets, but I'm scared of blowing up our entire lives. August 1st. Well, shit hit the fan today. My husband finally confronted me about Mike. Turns out he'd hired a private investigator who got pictures of us together. The look of pain and betrayal on his face when he showed me the photos, I'll never forget it. I broke down crying and confessed everything. Told him I knew about his affair too, and that's why I did it. We both just sat there sobbing for what felt like hours. He wants to try counseling, says he'll end things with the coworker. I don't know if I believe him or if I even want to try and fix this. How can we ever trust each other again after what we've done? I told Mike it's over. He seemed upset but understood. Said to call him if I change my mind. I blocked his number, but part of me is tempted to keep it just in case. August 15th. It's been 2 weeks since D-Day. We've been to 3 counseling sessions so far. Lots of tears and fighting and brutal honesty. I still don't know if we can make this work, but we're trying for the kids' sake if nothing else. My husband swears he's ended things with the coworker. I want to believe him, but the trust is shattered. I find myself constantly checking his phone, his email, looking for any sign he's lying again. I miss Mike if I'm being honest. Miss the excitement and passion of the affair. But I know continuing to see him would just make everything worse. I have to focus on healing my marriage if that's even possible at this point. September 1st. Another update for anyone still reading this saga. Things with my husband are complicated. Some days are okay, almost normal even. We can laugh and talk like we used to. Other days, the anger and hurt come flooding back and we can barely look at each other. The kids can tell something is wrong, even though we're trying to shield them from it. My 4-year-old asked why Daddy was sleeping on the couch. I didn't know what to tell him. I'm still not sure if I want to stay in this marriage. Part of me thinks we should just end it. That too much damage has been done. But then I look at our kids and I can't bear the thought of breaking up our family. My husband says he wants to make it work, that he's committed to rebuilding our relationship. He's been going to individual therapy in addition to our couples counseling. I appreciate the effort, but I don't know if it's enough. I've thought about reaching out to Mike a few times. In my lowest moments, I've been tempted to run away with him, start a whole new life. But I know that's just a fantasy. The reality would be so much messier. For now, I'm just taking it day by day, trying to focus on myself and the kids. Hopefully time will bring some clarity on what to do next. September 15th. Well, things took another dramatic turn today. I got a call from Mike's wife. Turns out he'd been careless, and she found some of our text messages. She was understandably furious and wanted to know all the details of our affair. I felt horrible talking to her, hearing the pain in her voice. I answered her questions as honestly as I could. Apologized over and over, even though I know that doesn't fix anything. She said she's leaving Mike, taking their kids to stay with her parents. I feel so guilty for the part I played in destroying their family. Yes, Mike made his own choices, but I knew he was married, and I pursued the affair anyway. I told my husband about the call. He was upset, but also seemed almost relieved in a way. Like now that everything is out in the open, we can finally start to move forward. We had a long talk tonight. Really laid everything out on the table. All the hurt, the resentment, the fears. It was painful, but also cathartic in a way. For the first time in months, I feel like we're actually communicating honestly. I still don't know what the future holds for us, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we can work through this. It won't be easy, but I think our relationship is worth fighting for. October 1st. It's been about a month since my last update. Things have been better, I think. My husband and I are still in counseling, both couples and individual. We're trying to rebuild trust and intimacy, but it's a slow process. The affair fog has lifted, and I'm starting to see things more clearly. I realize now how selfish and destructive my actions were. Yes, my husband cheated first, but that doesn't justify what I did. Two wrongs definitely don't make a right. I've been doing a lot of self-reflection, trying to figure out how I ended up in this situation. I think part of it was feeling neglected and taken for granted in my marriage, but I also have to take responsibility for not communicating my needs better. My husband has been making a real effort to be more present and attentive. He's stepped up with the kids, started planning date nights again, little things that show he's committed to making this work. I still have moments of doubt and fear, times when I wonder if we can ever truly move past the betrayal. But overall, I'm feeling more hopeful than I have in a long time. We're taking things day by day, trying to rebuild our foundation. It's not easy, but I think we're both committed to creating a stronger, healthier relationship. October 15th. Another update for anyone still following along with this mess. Things have been okay, I guess. Some days are good, others not so much. We're still in counseling and working on our issues. My husband got a new job, away from the coworker he had the affair with. I think that's helping both of us feel more secure. He's been really transparent lately, sharing his location, letting me see his phone whenever I want. I appreciate the effort, even if it feels a little weird sometimes. I've been focusing on myself more. Started working out again, reconnecting with old friends, trying to rebuild my self-esteem after everything that's happened. It feels good to remember who I am outside of just being a wife and mother. We had a tough conversation last night about trust. I admitted that I still struggle to fully believe him sometimes. He got defensive at first, but then opened up about his own trust issues. We both have a lot of work to do in that area. The kids seem to be doing okay. We've tried to keep things as normal as possible for them, but kids are perceptive. I think they can sense that something has shifted between us. We're trying to reassure them as much as we can. I still think about Mike sometimes. Wonder how he's doing, if he and his wife worked things out, but I know contacting him would be a huge mistake. That chapter of my life needs to stay firmly closed. For now, we're just taking it one day at a time. Trying to be patient with each other and ourselves as we navigate this new reality. It's not easy, but I'm cautiously optimistic that we can come out stronger on the other side. November 1st. Well, it's been about 3 months since D-Day, and everything blew up. Honestly, some days I'm not sure if we're making progress or just going in circles. My husband and I are still in counseling, both individually and as a couple. It helps to have a neutral third party to mediate our discussions. But it's also exhausting to keep rehashing all the hurt and betrayal. We've had some good moments lately. Last weekend, we took the kids to the pumpkin patch, and it almost felt like old times. We were laughing and joking around, just enjoying them being a family. But then later that night, we got into a huge fight over something stupid, and it felt like we were right back at square one. I'm trying to forgive him, I really am. But there are still moments when the anger and hurt come flooding back. Like when a certain song comes on the radio, or I see a couple holding hands at the grocery store. It's those little reminders that make me wonder if I'll ever truly be able to move past this. My husband swears he's committed to making our marriage work. He's been more attentive, more involved with the kids, but there's still this wall between us, this sense that things will never be quite the same. I've thought about leaving a few times, just packing up the kids and starting over somewhere new. But then I think about how much that would hurt them, and I can't bring myself to do it. Plus, despite everything, I still love him. As messed up as that probably sounds. So for now, we're in this weird limbo. Not quite together, but not apart either. Just existing. Trying to figure out if there's anything left to salvage, or if we're just prolonging the inevitable. I know I played a part in getting us to this point. My affair was wrong, no matter how justified I felt at the time. But knowing that doesn't make it any easier to move forward. I guess only time will tell if we can truly rebuild or if the damage is too deep. For now, I'm just trying to take it day by day and focus on being the best mom I can be to our kids. November 15th. Another update for anyone still invested in this saga. Things have been complicated lately. Just when I think we're making progress, something happens to set us back. Last week, my husband got a text from his ex-affair partner. Apparently, she's pregnant and claims it's his. He swears it's impossible, that they always used protection. But now there's this cloud of doubt hanging over everything. I don't know what to believe anymore. Part of me wants to trust him when he says it can't be his. But another part of me wonders if this is just another lie. We're waiting on paternity test results, but it feels like our tentative progress has been shattered. I've been a mess emotionally, crying at the drop of a hat, snapping at the kids over little things. I know they can sense something is wrong, but I don't know how to explain it to them. My husband has been begging me not to give up on us. Says he'll do whatever it takes to prove his commitment. But I'm not sure if I have the strength to keep fighting for this relationship. I've been having dreams about Mike lately, wondering what my life would be like if I'd chosen differently. I know it's just a fantasy, but sometimes it's tempting to imagine a simpler, less painful existence. For now, I'm just trying to get through each day, focusing on work and the kids, anything to keep my mind occupied. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm trying to prepare myself for all possibilities. December 1st. Well, it's been almost 6 months since this whole mess started, and I'm still not sure where things stand. The paternity test results came back negative. Thank God. But the damage was already done, in a way. My husband and I had a long talk last night, really laid everything out on the table. He admitted that he's not sure if he can ever fully trust me again after my affair. I told him I feel the same way about him. We both want to make it work for the kids, but we're not sure if that's enough anymore. The counselor says we need to decide if we're staying together out of love or just obligation. Honestly, I'm not sure I know the difference at this point. The holidays are coming up and I'm dreading having to put on a happy face for family gatherings. Pretending everything is fine when inside I feel like I'm falling apart. I've been thinking a lot about what I want for my future. If I'm staying in this marriage because I truly believe we can rebuild, or if I'm just scared of starting over. It's hard to imagine my life without him after being together for so long, but it's also hard to imagine truly being happy together again. Only time will tell where this will go. I really hope I didn't mess things up for good.